Am I the asshole for walking out of the baby shower my friends planned for me? I, 28F, am 7 months pregnant. My husband and I are ecstatic but anxious. I have pretty severe endometriosis and have already had 3 miscarriages. When we found out I was pregnant again, we didn't tell anyone, not even our parents, for the first 3.5 months. This is actually pretty standard for the Ashkenazic community, as it's traditional not to inform anyone but close family and friends until around 5 months. It's also traditional not to have a baby shower. One of my close friends, Eliza, 31F, isn't Jewish. This has never been an issue between us up until now. There were a few insensitive comments here and there, but she always apologized afterwards. Recently, though, she's been making more and more rude comments about my Judaism, especially since I told her I was going to be applying to rabbinical school after the baby was born. When I told all my friends, including Eliza, about my pregnancy, I made it very clear many times that I did not want a baby shower. I informed them that it wasn't my family's tradition, that in Ashkenazic culture it's considered bad luck, and that given my history, as well as my husband's, his mom died due to complications during her pregnancy with my SIL, I really needed this sense of security. So, when Eliza invited us over for Sunday brunch, I didn't think anything of it. When we got there, her house was decked out in pink and blue and there were all these signs saying, "OP's baby shower," hanging in her living room. About half of our friends were there and they all started cheering, congratulating us, and pointing at all these presents they bought us. I immediately started crying, which I know was kind of dramatic. I just felt really disrespected and overwhelmed, and obviously my hormones are a little out of whack. I turned around and walked straight out of the house and sat crying in my husband's car while he chewed out our friends for not respecting my wishes and Eliza for inviting us over under false pretenses. He came out about 5 minutes after me and drove us home, also crying. Eliza and the other friends at the baby shower have been texting me non-stop ever since, calling me ungrateful and overdramatic. Eliza in particular sent me walls of texts telling me that just because I'm Jewish doesn't mean I get to spit in the face of all she put together for me or decide how she wants to celebrate. But my husband is saying that I have every right to feel upset and that all of our friends, including Eliza, knew this wasn't something I wanted. I know that in American culture baby showers are a fun way to help out new moms. But I'm already so stressed out about this pregnancy that relying on my family's traditions around pregnancy has been really comforting. My husband has also appreciated keeping to these traditions. I feel like Eliza should have respected our wishes and the motivations behind them, but I also know that a lot of work and love went into planning that shower and I hate that I made my friends feel unappreciated and like I don't value them because we don't share a religion. So, am I the asshole? Edit. I realized I didn't explain why I was at Eliza's house. She invited my husband and I over last Sunday for brunch, but it was actually a surprise baby shower. Not the asshole. It's your baby. How she wants to celebrate your baby does not fucking matter, to be honest. And you seem to have very, very graciously explained repeatedly to her that this wasn't what you wanted. You shouldn't have even had to explain why, but you did that, too. She's a terrible friend, or, at the very best, a terrible listener. Personally, I'd cut her out. Congratulations and good luck with your pregnancy. I wish you and your husband the best. Oh, wow, not the asshole, not the asshole, not the asshole. You communicated your boundaries, shared why they were in place, which was absolutely not a requirement, and yet your friends still ignored your wishes. You and your husband have enough going on without the added stress of this disrespectful, anti-Semitic BS. B'sha'a tova on your pregnancy. I hope you and your husband have a strong support network outside of these people. Not the asshole. She thinks you should respect who she wants to celebrate your pregnancy. What a ridiculously narcissist statement. They've disrespected your culture and your clearly stated wishes. It doesn't matter how much work she put in. If the work was put into something you explicitly said you didn't want. Not the asshole. Baby showers aren't a part of my culture either. It's disrespectful to your culture and wishes that Eliza went behind your back, even if you're not including the belief of bad luck coming from a baby shower. As someone who's TTC for a number of years, I definitely understand the superstitions coming out. Eliza is the asshole, and any of your friends who are scolding you, write a standard response and send that to them. If they continue to argue the point, just block them. Pregnancy is hard enough without adding petty drama to the mix, and your culture and beliefs deserve as much respect as the next person's, or in this case, Eliza. She can go above and beyond when it's her turn, But please remove her from your life if she's willing to ignore your wishes like this." My first comment was removed, so I'll rephrase. Not the asshole because 1. You told her your boundaries. 2. Eliza is in the wrong because she disrespected you by breaching said boundaries, not the other way around. 3. Her entire behavior says that it was never about you. It was about her and everyone that showed up to the party. 4. A healthy solution would be for them to ask, "Is it alright if I buy the baby a gift on their first birthday? Or even, if you guys need anything like diapers or clothes, let me know when you would like them." 5. Your husband is a legend. Thumbs up 1. Am I the asshole for asking my dad for money for period products? My 16 female mom is an addict, so my brothers, both 14, don't see her much and haven't in almost a year now. My dad is a good dad, but when it comes to girl stuff, he is utterly useless. He's also not working right now due to the hours not being there for him, so he's really struggling. My school does provide period products, but they won't provide tampons to girls under 18 for some unknown reason. And when you ask for more than one pad, the receptionist gets really shitty with you for no good reason. I asked my dad for money this morning because we're completely out at home and the receptionist wouldn't give me a spare yesterday. He asked what I needed money for and I told him it was for tampons. He said he hasn't got it and I said he also hasn't got the money to be doing extra laundry, because this is the sort of stuff I can't just live without. He told me to ask my mom, so I texted her and she still hasn't responded. I asked him again, and he lost his shit. I got angry back. I told him if one of the boys needed new socks that wouldn't be an issue, or if we had no milk it'd be an issue. So why is it not okay for me to get what I need when they can get what they need? He told me to fuck off out of his face, and the boys have been a bit RC with me all day as well. I'm not sure if I'm being the asshole here. I know I need tampons, but I also know that they're not cheap and I pressured him a bit. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Parents are responsible for taking care of their children's needs. If you have an Amazon account, I can send you some feminine products, no address needed. I do this for foster homes in need. Message me. Not the asshole. No. You are not being an asshole for asking for basic necessities. Do you have a school counselor? You need to bring this up that you can't get this item, or if you don't want to do that at school, a nurse at a local clinic will do just as well. There are programs set up for this. This is a need, not a want. Not the asshole. I was a mandatory reporter for 15 years when I was a teacher. This is abuse, and if one of my students told me this situation was happening, I would be obliged to report it to CPS. As is, my kid's biomom opened a CPS case because she thought we were sexually abusing her by letting her choose tampons or pads for herself. She's the one who wound up getting warned. Buying tampons and pads is your parents' responsibility. Full stop. Of course you are not the asshole. Refusing to provide them for you is neglect. You don't choose to have a period, it's nature. I'm so sorry that your parents aren't properly taking care of you. Not the asshole. I'm a stranger on the internet, but I'd happily ship you feminine hygiene products. They are a necessity. Would I be the asshole for not inviting my poly friends' partners to my wedding? 25F, I'm getting married in September. My husband, Mike, and I are doing a big wedding for 250 guests. I've always dreamed of having a storybook wedding. I asked my best friend Marissa, 25F, to be my mo, and she happily agreed. She's been a huge help to me in every step of planning the wedding. Marissa is in a poly relationship and she has 3 partners. Greg, 24M, Brandon, 27M, and Ace, 22NB. She's been with Greg for 5 years and was the first partner she had. They added Brandon and Ace over the course of their relationship, with Ace being the newest member. They all date each other and seem to be happy. I don't really get it if I'm being honest, but it's not my business. However, the issue came into play when Mike, 32M, pulled me aside and said while he loves Marissa he didn't feel like spending the wedding explaining her love life to his family. Which I understand, they are very conservative and hardly accept LGBT people as is, let alone a LGBT polyset. I had already reserved 4 spots of Marissa and co, but my husband suggested he invite a few co-workers to take the partner's spot and Marissa could come alone. I didn't want to ruin his big day, so I agreed reluctantly. I know I should have told Marissa from the get-go, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So when invite went out she called me up immediately and asked why she didn't have a +3 invite. I explained to her exactly what I said above and she just said, "Oh," and hung up. Next thing I know, Brandon is calling me and begging me to reconsider, saying they promise they won't act like they are in a relationship, but they want to be there for me. Except I can hear Greg in the background telling him tell me to fuck off and that I'm an asshole and he doesn't even want to go. I explained to Brandon that I already gave their spots to Mike's coworkers. Brandon says okay thank you and hangs up. Marissa texts me the next day saying she isn't coming unless they can go. Mike said he can't uninvite his coworkers now, so it's not his problem. I told him I would add them and pay the costs, and he just said if I want to spend the whole time explaining their relationship to people then so be it, but he isn't wasting his time doing it and will just send people my way. Our other friends think I'm an asshole, but Mike's friend and a few of my non-mutual friends don't think I am. Just want some more unbiased opinions. YWBTA. Intentionally or not, you put the opinion of bigots over the reality of your friends. They likely feel betrayed, especially at the short notice. Could Mike's family be given a stern warning instead? Such as, there will be no comments on people at our wedding. If you cannot keep it to yourself, you will leave. You are the asshole already. The way you've handled this is awful, and your husband sounds like an asshole too. You are putting the opinions of your bigoted in-laws, and I'm guessing husband too, over your actual friends. If you go through with this, you will most likely prematurely damage your relationship with Mo. You are the asshole, but for how you handled it. I can get not wanting to have to explain why someone is there with 3 partners. Personally, if this person is the Mo, I think that means they're important enough to you to also include their partners. Would you ask them to go solo if they were monogamous and gay to avoid having to explain that to conservative family? But that's just me. At the end of the day, it is your wedding. But you should have spoken to your friend about it beforehand. Getting an invitation with only one name in it is not the way she should have found it. I get that you didn't want to have to face her about it, but you owe it to her to do that. Mike said he can't uninvite his coworkers now, so it's not his problem. Oh, but you can uninvite your closest friends' partners? You let your asshole partner be asshole to your friends and to you. Forces you to be asshole yourself to them, and it's not his problem. And #X200B. I think his family has a lot of money, and that is the whole story. You get to plan your dream wedding with 250 guests and your dream life, and in return you do whatever his family wants, and the rest is not his problem. Since you were so fast to sell out your best friend, I have no sympathy for you. Everyone sucks here, your husband, his family, you, except your friend and her partners. I'm Polly, and I think you aren't the asshole for not inviting all her partners, but I think you handled this horribly. She's your best friend. You should have talked to her about your concerns. I told him I would add them and pay the costs, and he just said if I want to spend the whole time explaining their relationship to people then so be it, but he isn't wasting his time doing it and will just send people my way. So do that. I get that his parents are conservative, but he didn't say, my family will disown me, he just doesn't want to deal with the questions. So you deal with it. Would I be the asshole if I sued my mom over my stolen college fund? Backstory. My parents got divorced when I was around 11. Around the same time, my mom was in a car accident and had won a fairly large settlement on top of my grandpa passing away right in the middle of it. So she was left with a fairly large chunk of money. During their divorce, my mom constantly kept me and my siblings in the loop of everything and made my dad look like the villain in the situation, despite my mom cheating being the reason for the separation. And when you're young, you want to believe your parents have your best interests in heart. My dad paid over $300 weekly in child support for my siblings and I. And when I decided at 20 I wanted to move in with my dad, she stopped talking to me for a while since she would fully lose all child support. Part of the divorce agreement was that my dad would not ask for any of the money from the settlement as long as $40,000 of it went into a college fund for me, since at the time my siblings had no interest to pursue college. Everything was arranged, the divorce papers were signed, and my mom gloated about how much money I would have for school. And on top of that, my siblings and I had $10,000 each as an inheritance from my grandfather's will for us to use when we turned 18. A few years later, she had fully renovated my grandfather's house that we moved into. We had a new car, went on a 7-night Disney cruise followed by a stay at a deluxe Disney hotel. We were fairly happy, and I was a sophomore in high school excited to start looking at colleges, when my mom informed me she spent my entire college fund and inheritance on everything above. I was floored. The first thing I had done was tell my dad, who became so angry he immediately contacted his own lawyer and take my mom back to court to figure out a way to make that money back. At this point, we lived paycheck to paycheck and heavily relied on the child support to afford living. So she was served the court papers and they went in front of a judge, where my mom was given a slap on the wrist since it was determined she didn't make enough money to pay back the $40,000 college fund. Throughout my entire childhood my mom was emotionally abusive towards me and my siblings. She manipulated us to be at each other's throats constantly and was very narcissistic. She continued to get worse during my childhood and my anxiety and depression was crippling. It took moving to a different state to realize how harmful she was in my childhood and to see clearly how much she messed me up, and I went no contact almost a year ago. My dad is about to retire and made it known to me that according to his divorce agreement my mom gets a good chunk of his pension, which got my gears turning. Would I be able to take my mom to court over the college fund again, but this time to try to use his pension to replenish my funds? Even if that means I'm screwing my mom out of $1,000 plus a month for my dad's work. #Speak to a lawyer. Not the asshole. Parents that spend money that isn't theirs like your mother did disgusts me. It would have been different if you or one of your siblings had a medical emergency that required funds, but that's not the case here. Not the asshole, but you need legal advice ASAP because to my knowledge, this isn't something you can do on your father's behalf. He would have to sue her. You're asking a legal question, and this is not really the proper forum for that. Plus you don't give enough information for us to even answer this question. For example, what state are you in? My guess is, the statute of limitations has expired on any claim you might have had to that $40,000. Both you and your dad should consult a lawyer to see what can be done. And no, you would not be an asshole to pursue a legal remedy here. You would be not the asshole, but I'm mostly concerned about the chances of you winning. You're in the right and I'm sorry you were betrayed.